Hey guys, so this video is the next part of our Minimus 2 story called The Twins Are Named. So in the last one, we saw that there were these two babies that were born and we saw how the Romans named them. One of the ceremonies they did was he sprinkled water on his daughter and gave her a name. And everybody was giving gifts and things like that because they were all super happy about it. And we're just going to pick up from where we left off. Just like in the last one, I'm going to give you the Latin. I'm going to read the Latin, then read the English meaning, and I'm going to point some things out about each sentence. And then your job is going to be to fill out the Google form and answer some questions. Now, something we're specifically going to be looking at in this video is the verb sum. So keep an eye out for that. I think it does come a little bit later in this story, but there are going to be a few questions on the verb sum, so keep that in mind. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Box 6. Post ridie omnes ad villam revenieebant. Iterum crepundia dabant. Okay, so breaking the sentences down. Post ridie omnes ad villam revenieebant means the next day, everyone returned to the house. So you have this orange word, post ridie, and that is the next day entirely, post ridie. You actually have the Latin word post, which is after, and die, which is day. So it's like the day after, or the next day. Then you have omnes, everyone, revenieebant, returned, ad villam, to the house. Remember how last time we were talking about how the ba makes it a past tense? The second part, iterum crepundia dabant, they gave toys again. So notice how there's I don't really see the word they anywhere in this sentence. Like in this first one, I had this word omnes, which means everybody. So where am I getting the word they from? Well, hopefully by this point you've studied verb endings, which that was an assignment. We see, remember, ost mustis unt. Unt means they. So the they is actually in dabant. They gave. And then what did they give? Toys. Crepundia. The next box, 7. Nomen tuum Gaius Castor est. Gaius aquam in filium spargebat. So just pointing out here, this is aqua, and this is a filius. So let's turn this into English. The first one, what he's saying up here, nomen tuum Gaius Castor est. Hopefully that's fairly easy for you. Your name is Gaius Castor. Nomen tuum Gaius Castor est. Remember how est kind of winds up in the middle here? Because in English we can't put is at the end. It wouldn't make sense. Unless you're doing like Yoda speak. Your name Gaius Castor is. Then the second one, Gaius aquam in filium spargebat, means Gaius sprinkled water onto his son. Remember, that's the ritual he did already. One thing I wanted to point out here is how this is aqua here, but in this sentence we say aquam. Remember, the reason why we do that is because you're doing something to it. The verb is acting on it. You're sprinkling water. And then sort of the same thing is going on with filius, which is son, but we say in filium, onto his son. Latin words like to change to show that they're doing things. In this case, object of the verb spargebat and object of the preposition in. So Gaius sprinkled water onto his son. The next one, number 8. He says here, duo infantes bullas gerebant. Actually, think about it. You probably can get this one. You probably just don't know what gerebant is. But let's see if you can get it from the picture. You have an infans here and an infans here. That should remind you of an English word, like what these people look like. And you know the word duo infantes. And then what is a bulla? What are bullas? This thing is a bulla. Okay, so what is that? It's like a little necklace. So the Romans would give a bulla to a baby, and the child would wear a bulla until it was an adult, and then they took the bulla off. So like when you took the bulla off is like a sign that you're no longer a child, you're now an adult. So what do you think this word gerebant means? Duo infantes bullas gerebant. Well, wearing, or were wearing, because remember we have the ba for past tense. Duo infantes bullas gerebant. The two babies were wearing bullas. Number 9. Rufus says, Gladius ligneus donum meum irat. And Pandora responds, Benignus iras. So Rufus is talking about this thing. You should know what gladius is. Now ligneus is telling you what kind of a gladius it is. I mean, what kind does it look like? And then he says, donum meum. We've seen the word donum before. Remember what it sounds like in English? Donate. So what do you think he's saying about this? Remember, everybody's giving the babies gifts and toys and things. And so this last word I'd like you to pay attention to as well, because remember how we said we're going to worry about the word sum, and what she responds is benignus iras. So let's see what it means in English. Well, Rufus is saying, Gladius ligneus donum meum irat. He says, a wooden sword was my gift. So Gladius ligneus, a wooden sword, irat, was my gift. So notice how irat is kind of like est, but est means is. So irat is just the past tense of est. Est irat. And that's kind of the same thing here. She says, benignus iras. You were kind. And iras is ending in an S, and S means you, remember? So it's kind of the same word, it's just got a different ending. OST mus son. So let's keep this in mind. The word sum in what we call the present tense, sum I am, S-U-R, est he, sheer it is. But the same word in the past tense, iram, I was, iras, you were, irat, he, sheer it was. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, why don't we use OST here, and why does it look a little bit different? Well, sum, that is this word, the whole word, is what we call an irregular word. So if you don't know what the word irregular means, irregular basically just means not normal. So this is a special word, it's not normal. So remember, normally Latin words go OST on the end, and the beginning part doesn't change, like amo, amas, amat, sedeo, sedes, sedet. Predictable, right? But sum doesn't, but sum is not normal, which means we just have to remember how it goes instead of using the normal pattern. But even though it's not normal, it still kind of does OST mus son. It does MST instead. Let's look at box 10, and this is the last box. So Lepidina says, dies miri irant. That looks like something we just saw up here, right? Iram iras irat. Dies miri irant. And then she says, infantes ammo. Fortassi olim mater ero. Well, the first part you should be able to get. Ammo ends in an O. O means I. So this is I what? Infantes. And then the second part I'll break down for you. I'll break down the whole thing. But so the first sentence, Lepidina says, dies miri irant. She says, they were wonderful days. Or those were wonderful days. So dies is the word for days. Miri it ever goes down. Miri is the word for wonderful. And then irant, well, it's just like what we just saw. It's the past tense, they were. NT means they. So they were wonderful days. And then Pandora says, infantes amo. Amo ends in an O. O means I. I love. And then infantes, babies. Now remember, it can't be babies love. Some of you guys might think that the first word automatically does the action, but that's not the way Latin works, remember, because the ending on the word here is O, and O always means I on verbs. So it can't be the baby's love. It doesn't make sense. And then the last part here, she says, fortasse olim mater ero. She says, maybe one day I will be a mother. So fortasse is maybe. I think we've seen that before. Olim is one day. Mater, we've seen that, mother. And then ero, that ends in an O, and O means I, right? So ero is this whole thing here. I will be. So if sum was I am, iram was I was, ero is I will be, it's actually the same word again. So just to explain to you a little bit more about the word sum, remember all of our word endings are OST mustissa, all of our verb endings. OST mustissa. O means I, S means you, T means he, she, it, must means we, tis means you all, means they. Well, let's see those on the word sum. Because I remember how I said, although sum is what we call irregular, not normal, it still mostly follows the endings. So we have sum, I am, S, you are, est, he, she, it is, sumus, we are, estis, you all are, sunt, they are. So instead of OST, it's MST, mus, tis, unt. And remember how we saw that Iram was the past tense? Now I'm just giving you the second half of it. Iram, I was. Iras, you were. Irat, he, she, it was. Iramus, we were. Iratis, you all were. Irant, they were. Again, it's just MST, mus, tis, unt. And then iro, which we saw in this one, is what we call the future tense of sum. And this one just goes back to normal OST mus, tis, unt. Iro, I will be. Iris, eris, you will be. Erit, ishirit will be. Erimus, we will be. Eritis, you all will be. Erunt, they will be. OST mus, tis, unt. Okay, so in this one, I'm going to ask you in the Google form, I'm going to ask you some questions about the story, but mostly I want you to be paying attention to this word sum. Hopefully it makes sense to you. And so we have three different tenses of sum. Sum, the present tense, I am. Iram, the past tense, I was. And ero, the future tense, I will be. And that'll be all for this week, guys. I will put up some more stuff next time. Bye. Wale.